all that matters.
Now, a bit of a pro tip. It's very easy to get distracted. There's all sorts of things around that can distract you. And if you do get distracted by something and you forget you're filling the fish tank up, it's never that good. So rule number one, when you're filling up a fish tank, never leave, just stay with the fish tank. Be careful with phone calls, because phone calls are also a big distraction, because it's so easy to forget your taps on, and nobody is impressed having a flooded house. So if you just keep your eye on the job, fill your tank up, turn off your hose, and get on with your life. This is particularly an issue if you're going to start servicing your aquarium drunk. I've had various customers come in saying that they've caused all sorts of trouble to their tank because one Sunday evening or whatever, they're having a few drinks. Then next thing you know, they've either fell asleep on the lounge while they're filling their tank up, or they've forgotten to turn their pump back on. I've heard all sorts of funny stories, so just be aware that servicing your aquarium drunk, it's pretty fun. I'm not telling you not to do it, I'm just telling you to be careful, because drunk decisions are often the most fun, but not always the best. Be safe, people. Water changes, you can do bigger ones in summer, but make sure you do smaller ones in winter, because you'll get more temperature variation in winter and you're more likely to get white spot after a water change in winter than you are in summer. And the reason why I'm trying to do a super big water change today is because the nitrates and phosphates are up a little bit. Definitely not something I'm worried about, but just a note, because we don't want the phosphate and nitrate to keep rising. So water changes are in order. Eye on this guy a little bit. He's just a little tad on the skinny side. So if we could just put a little bit more of this in, particularly at night time, just let him scavenge. If you're ever going to use wafers, I really think this one's the best, because this one's actually water stable, so it takes 24 hours before it starts to break down. So a few more of them, and if they go in the evening when the other fish go to sleep, just try and get a little bit more food to that fellow. Just like him a little bit fatter. Most of the fish look great. So now that I'm refilling the aquarium, what I'll do is every 5 centimeters, I'll add a full dose of safe to take anything I don't want out of the water. I also am going to dose it with some lake salt, because the GH and salinity is a little bit low. Now, because these owners go away a lot, there's 2 things I'm going to do today. One is I'm going to add some poly filter to the filter. This is not just filterable. This will absorb anything impure out of the water. Over a period of time, it'll turn from white to black. Once it's black, that's finished, so you can throw it out and consider getting another one. But basically, this will remove all your accumulants, move all the stuff that we don't know, and if you're away and you lose a fish or something goes wrong, then this will help to absorb a lot of the nutrients instead of potentially killing the fish. So if you're going away on holidays, I would absolutely and totally recommend you have some fresh poly filter on hand. Now, the other thing I'm going to do too is, because someone is going to be looking after the house who is not a fish person, I'm going to put a couple of alerts on the tank. That way we can tell the people looking after the tank, hey look, if you notice the color in the middle change, that means the pH has dropped. Because in this case, I want the pH to be pretty red, so the dot in the middle should be red. Now, if something goes wrong, generally the first thing that will happen is the pH will start dropping. So therefore, if we notice this go yellow, then that's an alert, and that's something to let us know. And then the ammonia is 1st degree fish waste. So the little dot in the center should be yellow. And then if it starts going a color, that's bad. So you can tell the people looking after your tank, hey look, just when you come to feed the fish, just check on these, and if this one's red, that's good. And if this one's yellow, that's good. And if that's not the case, ring your fish guy straight away, because if something's going wrong, let's say a filter's not working and the person doesn't notice, or a fish dies in the back of the tank, or something goes wrong, then ammonia and pH are 2 of the main things that will quickly change. Beautiful little marble peacock. So I recommend everyone have these alerts on their tanks, and definitely for situations like this where you're away a lot. A little bit of security is sometimes the best insurance, especially for a tank like this, because if you add up all these fish, there's a bit of money's worth of fish in here. So just taking a little bit of preparation to protect your investment is a highly advisable idea. Clean, but I really want to try and make sure that the food is going in the tank, because if you start getting food all over the lids, It attracts cockroaches and stuff, and it smells bad. These, the ammonia one, you just peel off the plastic, and it's got a little sticker there. And then this one, it comes with a sticker, and we put the sticker on. And just be aware that they last for about 1 year. So after 1 year, it's a good idea to replace the little dots. You don't really have to buy this again, but most people do, because after a while your suction cap stuffs up and it starts looking dirty anyway. So if you don't want to buy another one of those, you can pre-order these little dots just to put on there. But if it was up to me, I'd just buy another one. Make it all look nice and neat. I've attempted to try to catch the fish out of here. If we do get an opportunity to catch these fish out, that would be safer, just because of the very remote chance that it ends up getting stuck in the pump. And obviously we wouldn't want the fish getting stuck in the pump, because that wouldn't be good for the fish, and it also might stop the pump. So any opportunity we get to catch him out would be good. Probably the best way to do that would be just have a net sitting there in there all the time. Actually, I might get a net and see if I can stop the fish from getting into the pump with the net. Could be possible. If not, if there is an opportunity to catch it out, and leaving a net sitting there, so therefore if you do get an opportunity, that would be good to minimize the very low risk that you have a problem. Filling up these aquariums, it's not here you're watching, it's actually down there you're watching. So basically, once you fill it up, the water will start overflowing from this, and it will start going down the bottom. And at that point, I let this rise up, then I'll go and turn the hose off. Then when the sump's relatively full, I'll then turn the pump back on. Once I turn the pump on, what will happen is the water in the sump will go down and the water in the tank will go up. Then over time, this tank will evaporate, and it's important just to refill the sump again to the on level. Complete a job, it is important just to take a minute to stop and watch the water pumping, watch where the sump gets to, check on all the fish, and just make sure that everything is back good, and make sure that you've turned on any power points that you might have turned off during the service. So taking a little bit of extra time just to double check what you've done is very important. Now the funny thing is, I've been servicing aquariums and I've been in the industry since 1994, and I actually still really enjoy my job, which I don't know what that says about how easily entertained I am or what sort of pea brain I've got, but the same things that I was into in grade 4, which is music and fish, are the same things I love now at 50. So a lot of people tell me how lucky I am that I get to do a job that I love, but I do believe that the more you learn about something, the more passionate you tend to be about it. And over the last sort of 30 years in the industry, I've certainly learned a lot, and I've really enjoyed it. I think looking after a fish tank is actually quite relaxing, and if you set it up right, I think it's really rewarding. Going away on holidays is, if you are going to use auto feeders, these Ehine ones are excellent. JBL makes some good ones as well, but the food that I want you to put in the auto feeder is this one, and even this particular size, because this granule seems to work well in these, and I specifically want you to use the probiotic when you're away on holidays, because it is the cleanest food you can get, and the fish thrive with the smallest amounts. Very little basis in reality, and full of hopes and dreams. What I've done is just create a fairly secure barricade to stop the little fish going in and potentially getting caught in the pump. Now, I've made a big effort to make sure that the fish weren't in this space in the first place, which I see no evidence that they are, but I did see them in the balls here, so I've seen 2. Now, is this actually going to work? Well, I would say that's more hopes and dreams than actually working, but at this stage, it does seem to be some sort of barrier. And it's also going to be fairly functional, because the water has to go through that, which means that this mechanical media is actually going to be further filtration. So I'm really happy that I've done this, but I'm not at all confident that that's going to achieve the objective of the fish not going in there. And I've made a big effort to make sure that the inlet of the pump isn't going to suck into the filter wall. To be aware of is what's called dirty weight of the filter media. So as mechanical medias, I would say polyfilter is the best, and I would say this one by JBL is the second best. So when you get a dirty filter and you actually bring the water out and weigh it, you can actually find out how much waste the filter has actually trapped. And this particular one traps absolutely massive amounts. And compared to normal air conditioning filter wool or some of the other filter wools, it actually can be quite amazing that some filter wools remove huge amounts more particles, particularly without clogging up, than others. So it's definitely something to experiment with. But once again, polyfilter is my favorite. And then the JBL is my second favorite. A bit of a flashback, St. George Aquarium. This particular product was very popular back in the day, and St. George Aquariums is where I started working. So I worked at St. George Aquariums from 1994 to 1999, and this was a huge product back in those days. These days, Seachem has completely outstripped Wardley's, but yeah, that just brings back some memories for me. Note to self, every time that I do a job like this, I've got to remember to switch the timer back, because a lot of aquariums have light timers, and you can manually override the light timer. You've got to remember to put it back at the end of the job, because otherwise if someone goes away or leaves the light on the whole time, come back to a nice tank full of algae. Trust your aquarium to someone. This is a very good idea to do. If you portion out the food, you'll save yourself heaps of problems, because it's so common when you go away that someone will feed your fish, and with all good intentions, they'll either go, oh, they're still hungry, and they'll feed way more than you've told them to. Otherwise, also you can get people that you'd think are otherwise intelligent and civilized, but they'll go and just dump a whole lot of food in and then just say, oh, I'm not going to have to come back for the next week. But then when they come back, they've overfed and completely bombed the tank or the pond. So this is a great idea. Then you want to hide the food.